Welcome to Capital Talk, a program we hope will have an impact on the future of Kenya. And now more than ever, I'm Jeff Koinange. Now, all this week, if you've been watching Capital Talk, and we hope you have, we've been trying to get into the minds of Kenyans. Why do we applaud our zeros and disregard the true heroes? Why is it we do the things we do? Why don't we think outside the box? My guest today has been a guest on the bench a few times, and each time he comes, people want to hear more from this man. Why? Because he speaks the truth. He speaks it without fear or favor. He makes us laugh now and then, and at the end of the day, we have to think about the things he says because they are the truth. He has nothing to lose. He is head of the largest workers' union in the country. He sits on boards of several workers' unions across the continent and internationally as well. Has just come back from the inauguration of President Barack Obama, and now he wants to talk about everything from the maize scandal to oil scandal to the extrajudicial killings, you name it. He's the man to talk to. Listen carefully to my man today, Brother Francis Atwoli.
Thank you, brother.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Brother Jeff.
Let's start right now. Extrajudicial killings. This UN rapporteur, Professor Philip Olson, just released this damning report. And by the way, let's not forget, he was invited by the Kenyan government. He released a damning report saying, A, Police Commissioner, Major General Mohammed Hussein Ali, has to be fired, has to be sacked. Attorney General Amos Wako needs to resign because he can be sacked. He has tenure, needs to resign. Your thoughts, Brother Francis?
No, what I'm saying, we shouldn't dismiss him just like that, because that is his area of profession. And as a professor in the university in United States of America, he handles issues related to particularly international law, and which includes basic human rights and other freedoms of the people. And the research he has carried out in several other countries, and comparison, he compares Kenya with other nations of the world. And we need to look at that report seriously, but we have to respond with some facts, because I, for one, I believe that we shouldn't condemn police on wholesome basis, because police, our Kenya police, in certain quarters, they have done a commendable job. Two, I belong to the trade union movement, and I know the mandate of representation. Police are not represented in some other areas. We are now fighting for the police to have a police union like South Africa. We have done so. We have had delegation, boards of police, trade union officials and government officials, one industrial court judge to South Africa to see how they govern the trade union movement there, so that those who will be accused unfairly must be represented. The other thing, Jeff, you know, police have also died. They have been killed in pursuit of trying to protect an ordinary mwananchi. Nobody sees that. And it is the duty of those people who represent others to look at it from a very logical point of view and narrow down to those police officers who might be messing up the police force and trying to spoil the good name and the good work our police force has done.
Let me ask you this. Okay, let me ask you this, Brother Secretary General. The buck has to stop somewhere.
Absolutely.
This man wants the buck to stop with the commissioner.
Absolutely. What I'm saying is this: commissioner, just like me, he's a top one, like or another minister. I'm a secretary general representing about 1 million Kenyans with thousands and thousands of shop level officials. Those are shop stewards, branch secretaries, and different trade unions representing various sectors of our economy. What happens in other unions, I must not be able to comprehend immediately. But once something has been pointed out, like what has been pointed out by Professor Aston, this should be looked into very seriously, and we look at it with very sober mind. Look at it, who did this, who was in charge of this, and what happened for this to be done. Let me tell you, Jeff, about a year ago, you couldn't drive in Nairobi City at night. carjackings, people being waylaid in there when they are entering at their places, people being maimed, people being chopped off their heads. And then the government had to act. We were appealing to the government. You open the newspaper, the first thing you see is carjackings, including they carjacked the honorable minister, the then minister for trade and industry, Honorable Muhisa Kitui.
Yeah.
The case is still on in court. And we said police must do something. Where we are saying that if somebody is in a position of being arrested and being arraigned in court of law, this person should not be killed. That's where we are saying. And this is the area that we can narrow down and say, what happened? Why were these people being killed and so on? But we cannot dismiss the report of this UN guy just like that this man was here for 10 days, and what he did get proper research. Whatever we do, we are being monitored globally. Nowadays, even you see those people who have mobile telephones, Jeff, they are walking naked and they don't know they are naked. Some people are listening. Yeah, we have people who are listening to conversations. We have people who are listening to movements of people. Without seeing those people, they are seeing you. We have satellite system, very highly sophisticated IT equipment around the world now.
So we can't hide.
You can't hide.
Yes.
There's no way you can hide.
So why is the government responding the way it did?
I think our government requires, and I said this for a long time, it requires a proper mechanism to be put in place to shop for somebody who can carry out research for the government, both legal, economic, social, and when he comes out with a statement, not when something is said today, government responds the following day. No, you research, you come out with a properly researched response, and then you come out to inform Kenyans that this is the position. If this happened, this is what we intend to do.
At the same time, Secretary General, this defensive attitude by the government, it's the same thing with the maize scandal. When 10 million Kenyans are threatened with starvation, there are individuals out there selling maize as far away as southern Sudan, earning billions of shillings by stealing from the poor.
In my province where I come from, this is Western Kenya. Though I was brought up here in Nairobi, but my roots are down there in Western Kenya, and Nyanza for that matter. Those people who steal maize are people who didn't go to school. People who have no education. Illiterate people. These are thugs.
Yes.
So if you hear the whole parliament, the whole afternoon have a debate or a motion on those people who stole maize, it is a parliament composed of people who didn't go to school.
Thugs.
That is the truth of the matter. These are thugs. Because a thief doesn't care. A thief can steal a property of the mother. A thief has no relative. And if you have a parliament where people are discussing about theft of maize, and the people who stole maize are in that particular parliament, you see, you can see how naked, how Kenyans naked are they, or how the big deficit on leadership that Kenyans have. And this is what I've said from time immemorial, that Kenyans must think serious, particularly what type of people are we electing in parliament. One, because politics is commercialized, somebody steals, keeps money. The whole this affair of stealing maize and what have you, is people are looking at 2012. How can we amass more for the purposes of winning 2012 elections?
To go back into that house.
To go back in that house. So you will see in 2012, the same thieves, after they have stolen, they go to Harambes, people just clap for them, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And I will give you a good example. Last year, during May Day, I did mention during Labor Day that NACMAT chains of markets must be checked. Somebody must look at them. They don't pay workers well. People must look at it on side of occupational health and safety. Their master role must be checked, and in which terms and conditions of those workers employed by these chains of market are in. Are they being well taken care of? Less than a year, we haven't reached May 1st this year. You have seen what happened down here.
Terrible.
And the same people, they organize. They are the people, the brain behind the Arambe of 80 million shillings. They are the people who chair. They are the people who solicit for money. They are the people who tell the government we want to help those people, those poor Africans. Imagine a young lady with a kid like this died in that inferno. Up to this time, I'm talking to you, Brother Jeff, nobody has appeared in court.
Nobody.
Nobody.
And then
It's a simple thing, police to arrest and let somebody go and say why there were no exits, emergency exits in that particular building.
Simple question.
Something obvious that somebody can be charged to.
Yeah.
It is in law, it is both in, even in labor laws, it is both in our statutes. You don't need, for any industrialized, Kenya has better laws like any other industrialized countries. You wonder, people will start telling you about CASA, oh, we are going to anti-corruption. Yeah. Police have the duty of prosecution. They can arrest you and arraign you in court. Like this Maize scandal. Yeah, somebody can just be arrested. Why were you giving chits to Mr. Koinange to go and take money from a strategic grain reserve? 5.3 million bucks. People walk with maize outside. And then people say, oh, we have reported to anti-corruption, we have reported to what? When anti-corruption prepares a file, they know very well it doesn't have prosecution powers. Correct. It doesn't prosecute anybody. No. It will take it to Attorney General, and they will look at it, and then whether and then they will look at it whether somebody should appear in court or not, and they have their own experts. If there is no circumstantial evidence to commit that person, they say, no, this one, we can't win this case. And then, or it will be referred to a constitutional court where it will stay there for 5-6 years, and then the man continues to put on a very nice suit. So what I'm trying to tell you, Jeff, we must change and to change is easy. I was expecting Kenya to have an ministerial senior committee meeting for consultations, where we have the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, where we have the AG chambers, we have Home Affairs, the Office of the President, which is in charge of the security, and then they have a meeting to map out where judges are, police officers are there, CASA is there, everybody is there. They say, look, in this country, 99% are thieves. People are stealing. What we want to do, if we arrest, please, we want to get maximum cooperation from your ministry. Yes. Please, judges, this is our own country. Let's see how we can go about it. If somebody is accused unfairly, we respect rule of law. And we put him back we reinstate him. Put him aside or don't prosecute him if you have seen that he's not within the boundaries of the requirement of the law. But after that, then they can move ahead. But when people, people are doing their work partially, you find the judiciary has a big disconnect from even its own Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. And then the ministry in charge of our security agencies, a big disconnect or a big departure from other ministries. Now, there is not that coordination within the system. And sometimes I don't blame the system we have now, because if I want a little bit to reflect back to what happened from 2002 to 2007, when Kibaki came in, 2002 to 2007, with the overall political goodwill and support from the Kenyans, he did marvelous. Because from 1982, when we had attempted coup, up to 2002, our economy was in slumber. We had an economy that was not performing.
It was negative.
Negative.
Zero.
Yeah, but from there he moved it from -2% up to, when we started fighting, to 7.1%. Marvelous. Banks were hawking money here and there in offices because we were one thing moving towards one direction, and we had one government. In this coalition government, I said here one day, it's not actually a coalition government. A coalition government is a government that I don't know, a confused sort of government, or a government in collusion, or a government you cannot understand, because we have two governments in one. And these people are not pulling towards one direction. This is why I said we are no longer fighting. Let President Kibaki be bold enough. Reduce these 40 ministries to 20. We will save a lot of money for the society. Some of the ministers, even if you asked me, I don't know them. They don't appear in parliament. They don't appear in public baraza. They don't make statements on behalf of their ministries. They don't give us projection of development within their ministries, what they intend to do, their vision and mission for them. So it is just a total confusion. And that is why we can't move in this coalition government. And that is why you see even ministries are not coordinated. This is the first time in my life history to see government losing motions in parliament. Government sponsored motions, you can't afford to lose that. President Kenyatta would have not allowed that. President Moi, for his 24 years in power, the government didn't lose even one motion. You see, apart from on James during Kenyatta's, when the government lost because Masinde Muliro said, even if I'm a minister, I will vote with with the parliament. And then, that is the first time I saw it on James' death. But there's no government. And this I should appeal also to the right honorable Raila Odinga, the Prime Minister. He's young, he's energetic. He should not allow government to lose sponsored motions in Parliament.
He seems like he's losing momentum. I don't know why. He's been very quiet. He's been very quiet.
Yeah, he should move faster, coordinate the members of Parliament, plant a sense of direction in them.
He's the captain.
He's the captain
of this team.
Yeah, win their confidence. Become a leader so that when Mzee Kibaki is retiring, there is no vacuum there. Correct. Everybody will see him as a man who has tried to, And the other thing, let me tell you, including other ministers in this country, they don't understand both international, local, and other modern administrative applications in their systems. Because if you hear the whole ministry through TSC, like Minister of Education, it is saying what we want to do is to create some, amorphous grades to deny teachers membership. You see, they don't understand the international conventions of which Kenya government is a signatory to. They can't be able to differentiate a cooperative society and a trade union.
They're clueless.
Because the tripartism arrangements from 1919.
100 years.
100 years. Yeah, it has been respected world over. Kenyatta respected tripartism arrangement. Moi respected tripartism arrangement. As much as he would like to muzzle, you would see him calling teachers at State House. They negotiate with them because he himself was a teacher. He was a trade unionist. He understood the international obligation and the international impact on the trade union movement.
Brother Francis, hold that thought because I want to talk more about that, and also I want to talk about why is it that it takes someone from the outside. I want to come back to this, Professor Alston. Why is it someone from the outside telling us what to do? Also, you've just come back from the inauguration of President Barack Obama. President Barack Obama would never be elected here in Kogelo. Why is that? That's what we're going to talk about. My guest today, he's the Secretary General of the Central Organization of Trade Unions, COTU. Francis Atwoli is the man who speaks from the heart, calls it like he sees, not only talks the talk, but is prepared to walk the walk. That's who we're having on this day, because you cannot get these kinds of guests anywhere else but on Capital Talk only on K24. So do not even think of going away, because we are back in a moment. Welcome back to Capital Talk. It's getting really hot on this bench, I tell you, because my guest today, the Secretary General of the Central Organization of Trade Unions, or COTU, Francis Atwoli, is calling it like he sees it. There's so much rot in this government. It's nearly a year since these two players signed the National Peace Accord. We want to know, have we made any progress, or has it been one step forward, two steps backwards? Brother Francis, it is almost a year, which means this time last year, we were killing each other, fighting each other. We have forgotten that. We have thrown all good values out the window, and now we are back to our...
What I wanted to tell you, something funny I witnessed while in America, was that the Kenyans were not visible. Apart from our brothers and sisters who stay in the United States of America, they organized several inaugural balls and teamed up with their East African colleagues from Tanzania and Uganda and so on. Those who stay in the United States. But here, people didn't travel to America to witness, like Nigerians. Nigerians were everywhere. And if you ask a Nigerian, by those people who don't know the history and geography of Africa, you are from Africa. Nigeria is just next to Kenya, and they are making business contacts here and so on because they want to exploit that Obama's relationship to Africa.
And we are not.
And we are nowhere. We were not visible. And then the South Africans had even traditional dancers from South Africa. In various commemorations, in various inaugural balls, you see South Africans there in plenty, and even people from Senegal.
And we're asleep.
And we were not there.
And that's our man, or so
that's
we say.
Our man. So these are some of the things. This is the awareness that Kenyans need to know how and at what time they can effectively use the opportunity available to advance and make business connections and improve the economy of the society. But as I've said time and again, Jeff, Kenyans are narrow thinkers. We think about matatu business, bar business, corruption, stealing some small things like maize. When people are suffering, we don't care. People are dying of hunger, and we are not bothered. You know, after my trip in US, I came back. I went and chaired a meeting in Arusha of the East African Trade Union Confederation. From there, I moved to China. I came from China over this weekend. And in China, I managed to go to another province. It's called Hangzhou. This province has 55 million people. Just a province. 55 million people. And it's one of the richest provinces in China.
Bigger than Kenya.
Bigger than Kenya. 55 million. Nobody's dying of hunger. Nobody's dying of cholera. Nobody is dying because of these both air and waterborne diseases, like what is happening in this country. And nobody is talking about corruption. Let me tell you, Koinange, it was sad to see people refusing Miller on flimsy grounds.
Correct. Why?
That you should not hate the interim electoral
He's young,
commission.
he's smart,
young.
he's a lawyer.
He's a lawyer.
Everything.
You see? And Kenyans have learned a book written by Robert Greene. This book is known as 48 Laws of Power. In this book, they say how you can destroy young upcoming leaders. If you get, I don't know whether you have happened to see this book.
Absolutely, I know it.
You know it?
Yes.
It says how we should destroy the young upcoming leaders. This is what Kenyans are trying to exercise. Exactly. These leaders you see in parliament, that is what they have learned. Let them not tell you that we are transparent, we are accountable to whatever we are doing, we are fighting for good governance. If you are fighting for good governance, why do you deny this would have been... Then somebody stands, a whole nominated member of parliament. He says, I'm refusing it because he's a woman. He batters.
That's flimsy.
Flimsy. Those are useless. And you ask yourself, in which country are you coming from? Correct. This is a young man. Even if he made a certain mistake, let him be given opportunity, be supported, be given another chance, be told that we are looking at you. This boy would have done a commendable job. And then you ask yourself, which society do I come from? Yeah, because you find the right people in the wrong place. The wrong people in the right place. The country can't move. Jeff, it can't. And what I'm saying, let me tell you, if I'm given not only 1 month or 6 months, if I'm given 7 days to come up with a blueprint, and then another 7 days to implement the blueprint, this will be a different country. This will be a different country. Because we have resources, we have people, our people are learned. It's just a matter of guiding them, giving them leadership, you know, showing them that this is the vision, this is where we want to be. 2010, 2011, 2012, 2030, you go full blast in schools, you go full blast in our universities, you tell people, you create consciousness to our people that we want to reclaim our country back to us. We want to develop. We don't want to see our people going to look for jobs in Zimbabwe, in some places down there in Botswana, in America or in Europe, people going to do manual work for peanuts. We want to develop this country that every Kenyan must feel when he puts his hands in his pockets, there is money. When he sits on a table, there is food. When he stands down there, there is an organized transport. And this, we live in an organized city. Nairobi is now obsolete. We need to move to come up with a new city of the current generation. And seriously, those slums and what have you have got to do away with them. Provide those people with decent houses. And we can do it because we have facilities. We have everything. There is no country that borders water, international water, that has a port that is a poor country. We have good beaches. We have good lakes. We have everything. Instead of people fighting for Migingo Island because of less than an acre, people should create wealth so that our people don't go to Migingo and fight with Ugandans. There is enough wealth here.
All right, let me ask you this, Secretary General. Why can't you be that man? Why can't you be that change?
I have told you on this your program one day that unless we change the culture and traditions of our Kenyan voters, it might take us, not even my generation, another generation to get a proper leader. Because what these people did, they improvisioned the Kenyans, they made them poor. So that every time they can go and buy their votes.
Every time.
Every time. Because people who are hungry, people who are poor. And I remember I was listening maybe to, was Njenga or somebody was here.
Dr. Frank.
Dr. Frank Njenga.
Yes.
When he said that if you give the people in Ukambani water, Yeah, give them water and they can get water. And I remember in 70s, Shukuku moved a motion that instead of us bringing a water oil pipeline from Mombasa to here, that is a luxury. Let's have a big pipe for water from Kisumu to Mau Summit, and then it's rolled down to Ukambani, so that they have, and we build dams like what it is in South Africa. Yeah. They Wakamba have everything. They have good soil. They produce food for their own consumption and export. Yeah, if we can now be assisted with food from Egypt,
which is 95% desert.
Why can't we make it here? So, and our people don't want to hear that, because they will not have an opportunity to go and buy votes in Ukambani, buy votes in the northeastern, buy votes in those other areas that people are all the time crying for food. This is indirect slavery that Kenyans are enslaved. And I'm telling young people to stand up, people be prepared to die for this country, in order to achieve a proper liberation. People must liberate themselves. We must be left. And even, let me tell you, sometimes it is very annoying. You have asked me what happened last year up to now, whether we have made any change. Yes. If you asked me, I would tell you, maybe we would have left that to continue.
The violence.
Yeah. Violence, people to die, we die, we people with the gray hair, we are cleared, so that maybe this nation can have a proper leadership. Because these people who are there, they have created a vicious circle. The other old generation, the other type of leadership that was there, it's what they are trying to perpetuate. So we cannot come out of this let me tell you, Jeff, if you want to have a story building, people must be prepared to fall down, those people who are building and die. Yeah. If you want to have something beautiful, if we are to have a beautiful Kenya, and this I say without any reservation or without hide, something must be done. Even if we are cleared, my grandchild, those young people who are here, they will have a nation of their own choice. You saw yesterday a lady on top of a tree. Yes. She says she went into the vice president's office and she was chased away. You see, so or PM's of the prime minister's office, and she was chased away. Yes. If somebody would have listened to that lady and asked her, "What is your problem, Mama?" She would have said, "Maybe 2 to 3 days."
And it's a middle-aged woman, who is hungry, and the money is being stolen.
You see, so these are the things that we need to change. We need to change the face of our dial. Yeah, that dial that we are using to dial, we need to change that face and maybe introduce a digital dial, so that we move from this chronic sort of leadership or
analog.
Absolutely.
To digital.
Digital. And this is what we must do if we are to move as a nation to aggressively. We must have plans. If you have aggressive plans, nobody will say you are a dictator. Because you have everything on blueprint. You say we want this. We don't want to see those people who are sitting on markets playing ajua, playing cards. Because those are able-bodied people, or those people now on border. Yes. These are university graduates from 4. How do you allow a whole country that attained independence more than 50 years ago, some people to do small slavery jobs? People riding like this on bicycles. After 2 to 3 years, these people cannot perform, they cannot have children, cannot have what? Because of the nature of the work they are doing. It's occupational hazard. And then we don't come out with a policy. We need to come out with a policy to cover those people. How do we move them out of that such slavery and poverty? And it is not a lot of money. You go to Tana River here with about 10 million Kenya shillings. You have those pumps that can irrigate and so on. And then you build small units, about 100, 200, 1,000 small units where you will have to house these people. And then what government can do is to lease land from those people there. You start irrigating, you start exporting. And I can tell you every Friday we can be exporting to Tunisia, Algiers, and all those our countries. You don't need Casablanca in Morocco. You don't need to cross the Mediterranean. They want greens, they want meat. Every Friday will be coming with a lot of dollars to Kenyans, and people will be earning.
Brother Francis, you could be that change, my brother. You could be that change. We need something like this. You must keep talking. Don't fear. You're the man. My guest today. He could talk forever, but Brother Francis Atwoli, Secretary General of the Central Organization of Trade Unions, calling it like he sees it. He says, this country, we need to turn it around. We need a major turnaround. And the only way to do it is to be able to sacrifice, to say you're willing to sacrifice even your life so that our children and their children's children could live in a better Kenya than the one we live with. My goodness, what a guest, what a show, what a week. If you're not watching Capital Talk, you're simply not watching television, because you can only get it right here, only on the award-winning station, K24, where we are all Kenyan.
All the time. Thank you, brother.
Capital Talk is recorded at the Fairview Hotel, the country hotel in town.